What's up guys, my name is Witty of course, and I have taken the last couple days off to work on this Storm Shredder build, is what we're calling it for now. And I've been working really hard to try and find a build that was really fast and obviously really tanky and strong at the same time. Now I know a lot of clickbait videos are going to tell you that, you know, every build is the strongest, the fastest, the best, blah blah blah. I promise you that this is the fastest and most consistent build that I have found personally for speed farming. Now, single target, it does lack here and there. If the single target mob, the boss, whatever the case may be, has adds, if there are other mobs around, you will quickly kill the boss as well. But without adds, this build does struggle some. Now, with that being said, it can speed farm 60s. Pretty consistently, unless you have like vulnerable resist and crit resist or resource drain, something like that, you're going to be fine. Drifting shade is not a problem. None of the real on death effects are a problem as long as you don't stop moving. That being said, let's go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, I'm using Tempest Roar. Just like I said in the Might Storm Druid video, it's an endgame build that's meant for speed farming. It's going to have uniques. If that's something to complain about this far into the game, it's achievable. It really is. I'm not asking you guys to get a Shaco. Anyways, let's get on with the video. All jokes aside, a lot of these endgame builds and builds we're going to be seeing nowadays a month into the release are going to have uniques. I don't mean to sound like an ass, it's just the reality of the situation. So let's talk about our skill tree and not about how broke I am right now. 1 point into Storm Strike, and we are taking Fierce Storm Strike for the vulnerable. Pretty self-explanatory staple there. As we come on down, we're going to put all 5 points into Shred, and we're going with Primal Shred because we want the dashes. We're also going to take Heart of the Wild just to unlock Wild Impulses. Another staple for Druids, we want that damage. We're going to take Predatory Instinct because we're going to be close all the time, and any crit strike chance is good. Grade Gate, I believe. Yeah, we're just taking that because we had 3 points. If anything in here is replaceable, it's this. You can move these points to wherever you see beneficial for you. Next up, we are going to take Cyclone Armor with Preserving Cyclone Armor. The main reason we're doing this is damage reduction. We're going to take Ancestral Fortitude simply to unlock Vigilance for even more damage reduction when we use a defensive skill, which we are always using. Now, a lot of builds use Blood Howl with Night Howler to get the crit chance. We don't actually need that. It is an option though. You can run Blood Howl with, I believe it is Preserving Blood Howl, and you would run Night Howler instead of Dark Howl here. That being said, I didn't decide to do that. You definitely can. I just went with more defense. So, with that being said, we are getting Debilitating Roar with Preserving because it makes up for a little bit of the healing we're missing from Blood Howl. Now, nothing in Companions, of course. We are going to take Savage Hurricane. We are going to take 1 point in Neurotoxin because we want to poison enemies with Toxic Claws. We're taking 3 there. We're taking 3 in Envenom. We're taking 3 in Elemental Exposure for Vulnerable. We're taking 3 in Endless Tempest for Hurricane Duration because our Hurricane is going to help us get crits, which is going to work with Grizzly Rage. It's a whole thing. 1 point in Bad Omen and 1 point in Electric Shock. This is really just lucky hit stuff for extra damage here and there. We're going to come on down. We are taking 3 points in Defensive Posture. This build is almost always fortified. You are at least half fortified the entire time you're fighting. For that reason, we're going to take Nature's Resolve because it gives us more fortify. Obviously, we're going with Grizzly Rage. I've tested a lot of the other options, and trust me, we were praying that like maybe Lacerate was good, or I don't know, Petrify was it. They're just not. They're really not. You want Grizzly Rage, you want to max it out. Simple as that. Lupine Ferocity, by far the best option here. We experimented with the idea of running Nature's Fury and using Nature's Savagery, I believe it's called, as an aspect to trigger random Earth skills. Our hope was that we could trigger Landslide here with Shred, and it would trigger often because it's a 30% chance. Unfortunately, Shred's base damage here, 4,500 to 5,500, is all it would hit. So while it is a damage increase, it's not substantial enough. Whereas Lupine Ferocity providing 70% increased damage and a crit, it's, you know, you have to go with Lupine Ferocity here, unfortunately. There might be some way to use something else, but I haven't found it. Now, just like in the other video, the Might Storm Druid, I could waste your time and go through each Paragon board, but again, I personally find it easier to just look at a build guide for this type of thing, and going through all these is just to inflate the video's time. I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that to you guys. The link will be in the description as well as the pinned comment if you want to follow the Paragon board. The short story is we use Exploit, we use Fang and Claw, we use Territorial, Undaunted, and Werewolf. And Fang and Claw is the only one I'll feel the need to explain because it gives a bonus to magic nodes. You only need to get the 40 willpower, which is exactly what we have here. Anything above that is not going to help you. The reason we wanted to use Fang and Claw here is because of the increased damage to poison enemies, as well as damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned. And again, we talked about it in the skills earlier. We're poisoning anything we touch. And with Shred, as you'll see in just a minute in the demonstration, touches a lot of mobs, essentially. Word choice could be better, but yeah. Looking back at the video, I feel like I kind of did a lot of this in the wrong order, but we could talk about items now. Stat priorities are already on the D4 builds guide link, so if you're worried about stat priorities, I'm not going to waste time putting that in the video as well. Again, it's another one of those things. I don't like watching a video 600 times to find the stat priorities. Much easier to just read it on a guide. So, we are going to talk about a few things. First and foremost, Tempest Roar. I already touched on that. We're running Vigorous in our chest armor. You can run these aspects anywhere they'll fit as long as you have them all. This is for damage reduction, obviously, and as you can see, this chest armor just has a ton of that. A ton of damage reduction, a ton of armor. We are running Accelerating on our gauntlets for core skills increasing our attack speed. We want to attack fast. Rank is a core skill. I'm missing attack speed on my gloves. Ideally, it would replace the crit strike damage up top there. I haven't found any better ones yet. Hopefully I do soon. We're running Disobedience on our legs with quadruple damage reduction. Again, more damage reduction. Most of our DR comes from our chest armor and our legs. And obviously the skill tree in Paragon we just talked about. We are running Dark Howl to make Debilitating Roar a werewolf skill because I'm running Debilitating Roar. If you are running Blood Howl, you would throw Night Howler here, which gives you an increased crit strike chance when you have Blood Howl active. We're running Waxing Gibbous here for its unique ability. Essentially, every time we kill an enemy with Shred, you will go into a stealth, which makes you invisible, so to speak. And when you break that, you are guaranteed crit strikes for 2.5 seconds. And as far as I'm aware, this doesn't have a cooldown. So essentially, let's say I kill a mob, I have 2.5 seconds of permanent crits. And then once that time ends, as I kill another mob, it starts over. So there's really no cooldown between that I'm aware of. There may be one, but I don't notice it. Dire Wolves is what we're running on our amulet. There is an argument to be made that you run Stormclaw there, but I use Dire Wolf for the movement speed as well as the spirit cost reduction. Just it's a max roll and it's a lot of spirit cost reduction, which is really nice. Now we obviously just touched on Stormclaw a little bit. I personally use it on a ring. I haven't really tested it on an amulet, but Dire Claw is really comfortable and I have a lot of defense, so it's not such an issue for me to be alive fighting the monsters a little longer as opposed to potentially dead even though I do more damage. Rampaging Werebeast is a staple for any build that uses Grizzly Rage. It's pretty self-explanatory. Last but not least, like I said earlier on, talking about the skills, we are fortified 24/7, just about. So Retaliation is an easy 40% increased damage multiplicatively. We use it for that reason. Another option is Blurred Beast, but when I was testing this, I didn't really notice it all that much. It seems really, really good, but I think the problem is that we don't quite apply enough poison for it to be worth it on anything other than white mobs in AoE. And if I'm honest, you can one-tap those anyways with Shred, and half the time they die to AoE damage from Stormclaw, so again, one of those things that's not really worth it in my opinion. Now, this is a speed farming build. I'm going to make that ultra clear because everyone is going to comment how I am running a tier 50 right now. You're absolutely correct. These monsters are only 104 as far as their level goes. They are also not particularly weak to me because of this dungeon. I don't have any inherent bonuses either. Works out perfectly for a showcase. But this is a speed farming build yet again. I want to show how fast this build can mow through tier 50 because it can. And honestly, I just don't want to hear about the complaints that it's not pushing tier 70 or something. It's possible. Trust me. I've completed 80. but it's not something that's as fun as just speed farming through the game. Worth noting, I really hate this map as well, but it is what it is. I'm glad that shrine was cursed because I did not mean to click it. Now, like I said, as far as single target, boss isn't too difficult, especially on this tier, but once you're pushing higher dungeons in the 80s and stuff like that, the bosses are nowhere near that easy. It's a pain in the ass to kill them, and they take quite a long time, if I'm honest. Side note, this is also level 21 Fang and Claw, so that's pretty cool. But that's pretty much going to conclude this video. I'll keep it nice, short, and sweet. I don't want to have like a 30-minute build guide video like everyone else does. Just not my thing. Hopefully, this was shortened to the point enough that maybe you guys want to try it out. Maybe it's something you're interested in. If not, hey, perfectly fine with me. I just wanted to have a really fast character for when, you know, the guys needed help with something or whatever the case may be. And now I have that. And I'm looking to move on from Druid and play probably Necromancer until the season drops, because that may be the character I season start with, depending on how things go. We'll have to see what the patch notes look like and all the balance changes. But nevertheless, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. As always, it means more to me than I can put in words. We're about halfway to our 1,000 subscriber goal. It's kind of a dream of mine to be doing this for a living, so maybe one day in the future that'll happen. We'll see. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.